So day 2, I have gathered all of my stuff to make the wreaths, and I'm gonna get started. I have all kinds of wonderful greenery. I have some cedar and some hemlock and some pine and a bunch of magnolia, and even was able to scrounge up a little bit of holly that actually had red berries on it this year. I have some dried oranges that I dehydrated a few weeks back, and let's get to making this wreath. So I love working outside on beautiful days, and today is it's just awesome. So we don't know how many more warm days we'll have here in East Tennessee, but I'm just gonna soak this one in and we're gonna make this wreath right out here. Start with a wreath form. I use a straw one. I think you could probably use styrofoam or anything else, but we're gonna start with a wreath form, and that's where it begins. You'll need some floral pins, and they're just like little stick pins that are used just like a little U-shaped pin, and magnolia leaves, and that's what you're going to start with to build the base. You're going to put them all around the outside, facing outward, and kind of overlap them a little to give a nice background to your wreath. These you're going to layer across one after the other. Keep layering it. Adding some good layer to your pieces. We'll add some other kind in here too. Just make their way around. Sometimes I add multiple ones in the same thing. These are just so fun to make. You can just go around and do a nature walk and find, it doesn't have to be any particular kind of evergreen. What evergreens do you have around you, or in your yard, or on your property, or you know, ask around before you start taking other people's greenery. But most of the time your neighbors will share a little bit of this or that with you too if you're missing something you really had your heart set on. It's the holidays after all, right? So this wreath, just keep on filling her in. I'm using all the little pieces. I just don't waste a lot of hemlock. I just think it's so beautiful and festive. Don't be skimpy with your needles. with your pins. No need to be. They're really inexpensive, so I just keep them around. And the nice thing about this is you can use this same form again. You can just take the old off and just save the form till the next year. Use it. I had forms I've used for years and years and years. And as I'm going around, I'm also kind of making sure that as I keep adding to it, I'm also covering like the last pin. I make sure that last pin doesn't stay uncovered, right? I kind of go in the same direction, so think about the grain of your wreath or whatever. You shouldn't be going flippy back and forth. You can change your direction with the other kind of greenery, but in this one, it all should go in a direction that makes sense. This one's still going around. This one here is pretty, and I like that. Sometimes I do them upside down because it's lighter green on the back of the hemlock, and the pine cones are more prevalent on one side than the other. Just a really fun little wreath. It won't take long at all. See, I told you, it's easy. Just keep poking them in there. Something about this just makes me feel like it's the holidays, doesn't it? So we're coming back around. I'm going to keep filling her in, making it good and full feeling. There's some great pieces right here. We don't want to waste those. So sometimes I'll even go back and kind of start it around another piece so that it starts way back in there. Just like, like you do your Christmas tree, kind of weave it in there a little bit. Sometimes that helps. And this is a really long piece, but I didn't want to lose the pine cones, so I'm coming back around with it. I'm not going to lose my little pine cones. I like it when the sprigs stick out kind of naturally too. I'm a little bit losing I can't make mine too full because I'm going to lose my magnolia leaves because they weren't big to begin with. But if you use larger magnolia leaves, they'll stick far out, way far out. Mine just happened to be smaller this year for whatever reason. So working with what you have, Coming along. So now we have a wreath. Isn't she pretty? I'm going to add some other odds and ends. I'm going to go grab them. So now we're to the last details of it. So in the last details, I have some oranges that I took through our dehydrator. They're just so pretty this time of year. I found some holly today that still had the red berries on it. They seem to be naked around here this year, but I found a little bit, and that's all I need. Some cedar, which is plentiful here, as well as pine. I'm just gonna add some little bit of additional texture and just interest to kind of finish her off. I don't even think I'm gonna put a bow on her, because you don't need it. Just the entire wreath came from nature. Isn't that cool? I put some pine in here, and now I'm adding a little bit of cedar because it just kind of has a wispy texture, and I think it's kind of pretty additional. I love all the different textures of evergreens, so that's kind of a fun one. And then the last thing I'm going to do is come through with some of these oranges. I got literally a dehydrator at the Goodwill, and so, or Carm store or somewhere here locally, and I used it. I recently cut up some oranges, and I just dehydrated the oranges in that. Aren't they lovely? And they smell just divine too. So I'm going to work a few of these in here. I think they add a really cool little texture to everything. And I'm going to put some oranges in here. Just enjoy that fragrance too. And there's no glue, there's no fancy, it's just stuff you found on your property, in your yard, easy to make, easy to do, and some pins in 30 minutes of your life, which is also kind of zen. It's relaxing. It's just like my favorite stuff to do in the whole wide world. So if you know me at all, you know that I love stuff like this. So I'm gonna maybe put 2 little oranges there, back to back. What you end up with is a gorgeous wreath. It has oranges, it has hemlock, it has magnolia leaves in the backdrop. It doesn't take any time to make. I think the cost of this for me, with including the back, which I did buy a new one this year, was like $9 or something. And you can reuse the back and you can reuse the pins. So Merry Christmas and happy wreath making. And that's Bombdiggity.